All right. So we're going to wait a couple minutes and see if people join us on this live. I'm really excited to be on here with you guys. So we have 28 people so far. That's pretty cool. And as you can tell, 118 people. Yay. As you can tell, I've been doing these a lot more because it's fun and it's spontaneous. And I love spontaneity. That's being a dot. Oh, thank you, Eureka. Yeah, I had an amazing meditation today. I went for a walk. Merlin's always like, it's time, Phil. It's time. Let's go. But he lives inside of me. All right. So we have 207 people so far. That's really good. All right. I'm going to begin because this is going to be an energy update combined with an overall message. So I'm not going to title it Energy Update. I'm going to title it Universe Wow Me. That stuck out to me. Wow me. So the reoccurring theme this week for me has been to give the universe a chance to amaze me, and to give the universe a chance to, the words that were used were blow my socks off, and to wow me. You know, I feel like so often we go around chasing dust. We go around chasing dust. We might see someone's profile online and think to ourselves, well, they're cute, and I think I'm going to reach out. But here's the thing, right? This is so important for us to know. If you are being committal to a specific frequency, meaning that you're really honing your values, your beliefs of what you see that you're deserving of, what you think you're deserving of in life, that frequency needs to be upheld. All right. The message I'm getting now is like, whenever you really learn how to accentuate your vibration, what it sounds like in the universe, even though we can't hear it here because we only are limited to 5 senses from one perspective. But yes, I think that there are many sounds. It's a sonically driven universe, and sound is so important. So if you were to really accentuate your vibrational frequency and hold fast to what you know and believe yourself to be deserving of, your frequency would have a higher pitched ringing. So there would be a higher pitched sound. And what it would sound like in the universe is like a woman screaming super loud, but with such intention that the universe has no choice but to deliver her desires. And my guys are always laughing with me. They're like, Phil, you crack us up, because there's a saying that says the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Have you guys heard that saying before? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, I'm really squeaky in the cosmos. I'm very, very, very squeaky in the cosmos. Because when I meditate, I'm able to pulse out a certain frequency that leaves no choice but to have my desires come to fruition. So the metaphor I was receiving today is like, you might see a guy or a girl that you find attractive, and let's just stick with the guy scenario right now, because it's not really about gender, it's about divine feminine and divine masculine. And what we're reaching for is the unification of both of those polarities. So as alchemists of our body, we are alchemizing the magnetic charge and the electric charge. Okay? Magnetic to me is more vibration. Electric is more frequency. So when I meditate actively with Merlin, which is an aspect of myself, I'm very much in the divine masculine. I'm actively working with my imagination to send out energy, to pull, to wield my powers. It's an active force. And then I just wait for it. I just wait for it, which is more of the magnetic. So we are electromagnetic beings that can generate different energies. It's almost like we have this cauldron of creation, and we can find the ingredients that work with us for us through our imagination, through different exercises that we might do with our heart, with our third eye, and then we can draw to us what is intended for us without getting too affixed to the form. That's the secret. And I talked about that in You Are a Magnetic Being. So if you haven't seen You Are a Magnetic Being, I highly encourage you to go back and watch that video as well. All right. So back to the metaphor, I was getting that you might see a guy who's really attractive, and then he says all the right things that you've even thought about, And then you think to yourself, I think this is the one. I think he's my twin flame, or I think he's my soulmate. And yet, for the last 2 years, you've been really working on harnessing your life force, okay, and accentuating your vibration by committing to that frequency, to your visualizations, to what you envision for yourself in this life. And then you decide, I think I'm going to message him. And when you do that, you make an exception and you fall off the wagon. You become less squeaky. And what we want is for your wheel to become really squeaky in the galaxies, in the cosmos, so that the universe has no choice but to deliver what you want, what you desire. Again, without getting too caught up on what it looks like, but believing without the shadow of a doubt that forces, universal forces, will work together and orchestrate a divine union. And this conversation isn't limited to romance. This is across the board. Career, purpose, all of that. I'm just using that as a metaphor. So what we tend to do is we go, I'll just make an exception today and I'll reach out anyways. And if you were to take a magnifying glass and really examine those different energies, you would find that they don't coincide with the cauldron of creation that you've been working on. They don't. There's a mismatch. And that mismatch has within it doubt. Because if you didn't doubt your universe, you wouldn't have to message that person. And I'm a firm believer that the divine masculine should always initiate with the divine feminine. Always. I consider myself to be a well-rounded being. I feel like I have an equal measure of the masculine and the feminine. I embrace both. And my track record is that I've always been the chaser. I go chase, I ask someone out, and I make it happen. And it usually results in a relationship. But then I feel like a father. I feel like, this is not healthy. And I feel like I almost want to say I'm pulling all the weight, and then I don't have someone meet me halfway. So 2 years ago, I decided I'm really going to start working and embodying the divine feminine as it relates to romance. And thank you for the donation. I see you. Thank you very much. I started working with the divine feminine, embodying it. And I configured my system, my DNA, because you can do that. You can program your vibratory field. And I said, universe, I'm tired of being the initiator. I already have that fatherly quality, or that very chivalrous quality, which is why I like to be around women, because I like to treat them to dinner. It brings out that more of that masculine aspect. And I like that. Whereas, some gay guys might be around women and get more feminine. I'm the opposite, which there's nothing wrong with either, because I have feminine attributes as well. And I'm looking to have that fulfilled in a relationship. So I said to my universe, I want you to ship to me, like an Amazon package, Someone who will see that I have that masculine attribute, but can also see that I'm receptive and that I want them to be able to read my mind and chase me. Not chase me in a lack-based way. I'm not talking about that. Really show me their interest. Show me initiative. And if you do that, if you go to bat for me, I'm going to go to bat for you. That's just how I operate. That's just how I operate. I'm the kind of guy, like, if my frequency is matched, I will give you the world. I'm just like that. So, but that initial is so important, right? Because we meet so many people in this life and we try to make it work and we exert so much force and it's inorganic. It's not organic at all. So the message that was coming in today is give your universe a chance to amaze you. And trust in the divine unfoldment of all things. If you see someone who may potentially be your twin flame online, they may be your twin flame. But I ask you and I challenge you, don't message them. Stretch your faith into the unknown. Lean into that place that is so foreign to you, but that is you. Your higher self, I like to call it your original self or your eternal self, but I like the original self. Your original self has already orchestrated all probabilities for you, and you can truly come into the highest timeline. But remember, you have to be willing to meet your universe halfway. And sometimes you have to go on a fast when it comes to what your ego is impulsing you to do. Hey, I think this might be your twin flame. You should message them. And again, there's nothing wrong if you do message them. We don't do condemnation here. But what the 9 were showing me today, I thought this was a brilliant visual. And it's the first time I'm explaining it, so bear with me as I kind of navigate my way. I saw like a blanket that was pulled over 3 heads. So imagine 3 heads. And then I saw another blanket that was over 6 heads. And then I saw a blanket that was over 9 heads. And then I saw a space that had no blanket, no veil. Okay, so think of it as a veil, or think of it as a cloak. And the 3 was representative of someone's capacity to be able to stream cosmic information. So let's say someone has a thought that's like, oh, I want to go out and get drunk. And they don't even question the thought. They're kind of operating within a 3rd dimensional framework. They're just going to go out and drink. They're not going to question the thought. Someone who has like a veil covering 6 heads, meaning in terms of their capacity, they're going to have the thought, I think I want to go out for a drink, but then they're going to question that thought. Okay? And then they might be like, after they've questioned it, they might go out for the drink. Cool, because they've still brought awareness to the entire situation. Someone who has 9 heads covered, right? I can go on and on and on. So let me just relate it to the example. You see someone online who might be cute. And let's say you're someone who operates within the 6 head analogy. You might go, oh, I know that I shouldn't reach out because I've really been committing to the frequency of attracting what I know I'm deserving of, which is a guy that will be chivalrous, a guy that will initiate, a guy that will make the first move. Okay? But then you start to work with your mind, and then you convince yourself that you can reach out anyway without attachment. You got it? So it's good that you release the attachment, but you still reached out. So it's not all proportionate to the frequency that you were attempting to uphold. So how it was shown to me is like there are all these different collectives, right? Someone who has a broader, more expansive mind might be able to go, I don't know if I should reach out. And then they might process those emotions, bounce around from timeline to timeline to timeline like a grasshopper, and then convince themselves, I can reach out now because I've processed my emotions and I feel neutral. Cool. I'm glad you did that. But can you go beyond the 9 heads and go, no, if my universe wants to send this person my way, they will. And today is not the day. I might have spotted them, but they haven't spotted me yet. And I'm waiting for them to spot me. Because if I go ahead and open up that lid and I'm the first one to make a move, then yes, it might result in being in a relationship with them. But then you're going to have all these issues in the future where you feel like you're the mom and you're always kind of doing for them and you're always caregiving and you're always making sure that they're fed. So all those issues are still going to manifest in your relationship. It's like a volcano. So could you maybe consider the highest option, which is an option that dwells outside of time, right? The linear mind is going to say to you, and is going to try to convince you that this is your only shot. You know, you may never see this person on your Instagram feed again. It's your only shot. So you need to make a move. That's still linear, is what I'm saying. Now, someone might be thinking right now, because I can feel it, someone might be thinking, well, what if I've been kind of like you, Phil? What if I've been in my divine feminine for a long time and I feel so empowered by being in my divine masculine? Would it be appropriate for me to then reach out? Yes. Yes, it would be. Because this is a matter that is not gender. It's not gender. This is genderless. We're dealing with energies here. We're dealing with what you want to create as a creator being of your personalized reality. I'm in the stage right now where I've already proven that I can be that guy that takes care of my guy. I've already proven that. So I want that person to see me in a crowd and be like, that's my guy. And I've been committed to this. Committed. And I promise you when I tell you, if you are patient, if you stretch your faith, those desires will come to fruition. They will. Because again, that high-pitched ringing, right, that you're transmitting in the entire universe, it's going to draw to you everything you want. Everything. So you're actively working with your values, you're actively working with your beliefs, you're actively working with everything that you want, which is more of the masculine. And then that creates a sound. And then you wait for it through your magnetic, through your divine feminine. Is this making sense? Now, I want to run you through this exercise real quick. So let's compare scenarios, okay? You say to me, Phil, is my guy ever going to reach out to me again? I know he will. I know in my heart he's my husband, and I know that he's going to find me. And why hasn't he reached out to me? All right. Scenario A. Scenario B is like, Phil, I'm done. I'm done giving so much energy to this thing because it's draining me. It's taking the air out of my tires. Which one feels more peaceful, right? If I say to you, oh, well, he might come back and or stop. Pump the brakes, just stop. And really pay attention to how you're really not entrusting your universe to bring you what is meant for you, what is intended for you. To me, that energy, that feeling is so much more peaceful. Can you guys feel it right now? It's so much more peaceful. Like, oh, just stop. Humans overcomplicate everything. And I say this with the most amount of love that I can, but Humans overcomplicate everything. We're constantly chasing dust, which were the words that were highlighted today. So cap lock that. Chasing dust. In cap locks, we are constantly chasing dust, sitting by our phone, hoping, waiting, you know? So I'm asking you today to stop chasing dust. If you're not coming at this from an empowered place, from an empowered state, that's going to ricochet. It's going to be like a boomerang that comes back to you because the universe is always going to be responsive to the frequency that you're contributing, always. So if you're lending a frequency of disempowerment, of I'm waiting for this person to call me back, or I should reach out to this person because I'm not really trusting yet, then you're going to get back what you give. That's a law. Until you get so tired that you're like, I surrender. I'm throwing in the towel, not from a victim place, not from a victimized mentality. I'm throwing in the towel because my ego has been running the show and it needs to go to sleep now because my spirit's about to take over. My spirit's about to emerge and rewrite my entire reality for me. So when I say my universe, it's all of the cooperative components that are working for you, for your highest good. It's the angelic aspects, your guides, the ascended masters, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the higher aspects of who you are. It's all of it. Your universe is comprised of all of these different components, these cooperative components that are going to pull together everything for you at the most perfect time. Does that mean that you're guaranteed a relationship? No. So I lead into this next question. Can you be okay with that? Because from my personal experience, I had to be okay with being homeless. I had to be okay with being single. I had to stop relying on external sources and forces to fuel me. And that doesn't mean that you're going to end up single, but you need to be okay with being single. Like, yes, if it's in the cards, I'm going to be so appreciative. And if it's not in the cards, I'm also going to be appreciative because maybe I'm serving a different mission. Maybe the collective doesn't think it would be fitting for me to be in a relationship because maybe if my twin flame came together, the entire planet would explode. And maybe the planet's not ready to explode. So, can you be okay? I'm telling you, you guys, I have found so much power. I have retrieved so much ancient wisdom from entertaining the worst case scenario from the observer and coming to terms with the fact that that's possible. The worst case scenario is possible. It is possible that someone stabs me. It is possible that I might die in 2 days. I have to be okay with that. And the amount of freedom that you reclaim or regain by entertaining the worst case scenario is going to make it such that you never generate that outcome. Because then you're vibrating yourself and you're floating in this higher dimensional plane of existence. But to be okay with it. We have all these firmly installed programs in our minds, in our bodies, in our skin, in our blood, in our teeth, in our gums that entice us. You know, they tempt us into action. Oh, I shouldn't reach out, but let me just meditate and then, disconnect from my body, vacate my body, and then convince myself that I can now reach out. We do this all the time. I've done it so many times. I wouldn't be able to share this stuff with you guys if I haven't been through all of these different layers, and I'm still going through them. I still make mistakes all the time. So do I have access to a higher intelligence? Yes. Am I that higher intelligence? Yes. But I'm still in a human bodysuit and I mess up all the time. But it gets easier to move back into alignment, to restore your body, to realign. It gets easier. It's like riding a bike because you do it so often. And again, it goes back to upholding that frequency. You've got to hold it as if it's in the palm of your hand. I'm going to hold this higher frequency that is comprised of what kind of person I want to attract. Are they going to make the first move? What do you want? There's no right or wrong. It's an experience. This is an experiential reality. So we're putting our magical abilities to the test. And I'm one of those guys that's like, universe, wow me. I'm not going to be like a fish and get baited. I'm not. Because I believe in what I feel in my heart, in my soul. I believe that there's someone out there who knows me already, who sees me, who sees my essence. And that person will fight for me if they have to. And that might change. Again, everything is subject to change. That's how I'm feeling right now. That's how I've been feeling for 2 years. It may change tomorrow. I may decide to be the chaser again, right? But I've witnessed miracles unfold before my eyes in my life by understanding that things take time, because non-physical, which is antimatter, has to make its way into physical. So it takes time for a baby to be birthed. It takes time, right? The same is true for energy. It takes time for energy to spiral down the birth canal of reality and to set in as your physical reality. But I've seen how my life is like, every time I uphold the frequency, I always see the fruit. I always see how there's a harvest. And I'm like, wow, I did it. A plus, Ascension plus. I love that. A plus for Ascension plus. And someone said to me earlier, like, well, if no one makes a move, then no, everyone would be single. And I do not believe that to be true. Again, your beliefs determine your outcomes. If you're turned on by the idea of someone courting you, they would be turned on by the idea of courting you. I'm going to say that again. If you're turned on by the prospect of them courting you, they would be turned on by the aspect of courting you. Got that? But my belief still stands. Divine masculine will initiate with divine feminine, whether that be a male or a female. It doesn't matter. My divine masculine is in my rabbit hat right now. I'm like the magician. I'm like, I've got this down pack. All right. So my divine masculine is intact. Now I want to play because I want to experience and I want to explore. Can I really uphold the frequency of the divine masculine and have my match? Yeah. So that was my message tonight, is to start extending more trust, no matter how much you can justify it. Again, you can convince yourself it's okay if you reach out. I say reach higher. Reach beyond those veils. All right? Rip that veil off. Pull it off and say, I'm not going to make an exception. Exceptions are a recipe for disaster, usually for future disaster. Which is why I've never made an exception with my business, because I already know you make an exception, and you give a person, like someone emails you and is like, can you please fit me in? It's my birthday. Can you please, what about all the other people who've been trying to get a session with me? If I make one exception, I open up a portal, and I've tested this so many times with other things in my life. If I make an exception for someone, then there's a leak in my field. It's like a leak in an engine, or it's like a crack in the wall. And I'm opening up a portal. Thank you so much, Samantha. Thank you. If I make an exception, I'm opening up a portal, feeding someone's lack, which is refeeding my old lack, my scarcity mentality. Scarcity, you're scared. So you do things that really aren't in line with your truth, with your purity, with your pure essence. And then because the door's open, guess what's going to happen? All these other people are going to try to come in. It's an energetic thing. It's not a personal thing. So I always tell people it's not vibrational. No, I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. It's just vibrational. So last week, you guys know I live as a dot, right? So I don't have anything in my schedule. I never pencil things in the future. So last week, a friend asked me to hang out 3 days later. And I checked in with Spirit. Spirit was like, yeah, that feels good. Like I knew I would have a good time with this person. So I said, yes, of course. That's part of being a dot, is living my truth in that moment. And I checked in. The field was clear. I got a green light. Let's do it. And I had a great time with this person. 1 day later, now keep in mind, no one's been asking me to hang out, okay? 1 day later, someone's like, hey, we should do something next week. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, uh-oh. I've just opened up a door. And then my old enemies, meaning those lower aspects of who I once was, are going to try to infiltrate and try to weasel me back into my old ways, or try to revert me back into my old ways. So that's just an example. But it's all vibrational. All of it. So can you stretch your faith into the unknown, which from this time-space reality, which is a linear time-space reality, from your third dimensional or fourth dimensional mindset, you think that the unknown is unknown. But from your higher fifth dimensional identity, you know that you are that unknown. And that there are all these universal forces that are working together with you to bring about the best outcome. The best outcome. And what we do is we go, I don't know, this is tempting. I think I'm just going to go for it. Like Mr. Smith and Simpsons. Right? I think I'm going to go for it. And all you do when you do that is you remain within the same paradigm, or you remain within the same vibratory field that has a limiting range, going back to the 3, to the 6, to the 9. And that was just a metaphor. But you're staying within the gigahertz of the 4 to the 5. So how is the universe going to amaze you? By you being more risky, meaning that rather than reaching out, take a risk, deviate from your pattern, and try something different. Challenge yourself to outdo yourself, right? Challenge yourself to go beyond the confines of the paradigm that you were once inhabiting, that you were once indwelling. Challenge yourself. Go, I'm going to reach for the unseeable. I'm going to reach for what I'm now perceiving to be the unknown, and I'm afraid of the unknown, but in my true state, in my original self, right, as my original self, there's nothing to be afraid of, because everything is working in my favor, everything. I want my universe to show me, right? I don't want to die and say, I could have, I feel like there were times where I reached out to people. I feel like there were times where I received an idea that I was just supposed to let go of, and I took it on board anyways. And I don't really think that I maximize my potential. I don't think that I really actualize my full potential. We do that a lot. And as you guys know, when you're in a rinse and repeat cycle, right? Of staying in the same lane, of staying in the same loop, it can take a while to get out of it. It really can. Think of all the friends that you've had or the relationships that you've had where you bickered, over and over, having little squabbles and having little fights, and then you're back on track and you make peace, and then you fight again and you make peace again, and this can last for 6 years. These are rinse and repeat cycles. So instead, see yourself as perfect. I'm receiving another download right now. Oh, wow, this is big. Okay, this is good. Forget all these ideas that you've had that you did something wrong. Forget all these ideas that you've had that you were inadequate. Forget all these ideas that you've had that you were unlovable. What made you feel that is that you entered a domain that you weren't supposed to enter. It was like a trespassing zone, and you entered anyways, and you got contaminated, and that left you feeling like you did something wrong. That left you feeling like you did something wrong. But who you are is a pristine being of love and light with the purest energy. That is your original state. That is your organic state. And when things are too difficult and they're too complicated, what if I told you that you're not supposed to be there? You're in a red zone. And your universe is just trying to get you back on track. It's trying to get you to make a sharp turn or a U-turn and say, come back to us. Come back to your multidimensional aspects. Come back home. Peace is your original state. Joy is your original state. Harmonizing with your body and harmonizing with your emotions every day throughout the day is your original state. But sometimes we disconnect from that. Why? Because we're like, I think I'm going to reach out to this person. I'm comparing myself to this other person who's made it, and now I'm jealous. You're entering a domain that you're not supposed to enter. Come back home. Which leads me into my next point. And I know I'm like rambling, which leads me to my next point. I've dated people that I've had the privilege of falling in love twice in my life. Like real love, where the kind of love where you wake up at 4 a.m. and you're like, holy shit, I'm in love, right? The kind of love where your body clock starts to readjust itself before you move in with them, because your body's picking up on the fact that they wake up at 6 a.m. and you're going through that transition so that once you move in, you're waking up at 6 a.m. too. That kind of love. I've been in that kind of love. All right. So what I will say to you is that love isn't enough sometimes. Love, that electricity that you feel, that undying love isn't enough sometimes. You can date somebody that has some sort of a habit, like maybe they watch porn, maybe they drink too much, maybe they still flirt with other people, so they have a wandering eye. You can be with someone who has all these hidden secrets, or they're living like kind of like a double life where they're not really disclosing everything. And I'm a firm believer in like 100% transparency in relationships. Like even if you tell me something really dark, but you're transparent about it and you're like, I'm working on it, I love you. Cool. We're not hiding anything. If you have the urge to go cheat, let me know. Let's talk about it. Like that's how I work. I don't do the whole sneaking through the back door and being, sneaky and crummy. I don't do that stuff. I'm all about transparency. Now, you can date someone who isn't sharing all of their facets, right? They're not sharing all those facets of their diamond. And they are a diamond. It's just that maybe they're still shaming themselves. So they've tarnished their own gold. And instead of seeing themselves as a diamond, and transparency would reflect back to them that they are light, Uh, but a lot of people are still running shame and blame and guilt through their operating system because that's a third dimensional mentality, which only perpetuates an old reality. It's a third dimensional mentality that only perpetuates a old reality. So what happens is psychically, they may not share this with you and you might be in love with them, but you keep tossing and turning at night. Or maybe like you don't feel settled or you don't feel safe or secure within the relationship. You're not doing anything wrong. What it is that your multi-galactic sensor is receiving intel about what this person is doing or not doing. And it's saying this person isn't ready for you. They're not ready to be open. They're not ready to be honest. They're not ready to be forthright. But what we've been programmed to do in our society is, oh, I don't know. I don't understand why this person won't love me. And I don't understand why, you know, I just keep getting abandoned. So by doing that, you're reinforcing that you're not whole. You're reinforcing that you're not a divine being of love and light. That's what you're doing. And what we do is we solidify all these different programs that are like viruses, and they get ingrained in every molecule of our being. And we actually believe the storyline that we're not good enough. If the dude isn't calling you back, let it go. Like, it's so much more peaceful that way. I can feel it. I feel a huge, huge distinction. Like, it's a stark difference between why isn't this person calling me back? Are they ever going to come back to me? And I'm checking out. I'm good. I'm good. My universe loves me in immeasurable ways. So I'm going to start rising up and reaching for that higher measurement of my divinity, for that higher measure of love, for that higher measure of self-honor, for that higher measure of self-respect. And I'm going to be committal to what it is that I see myself magnetizing in my immediate reality. And I believe without an ounce of a doubt that it will get shipped to my doorstep like an Amazon package. And whenever you have a thought where you're like, I think I'm gonna make that phone call, instead say, I'm returning that thought. Think of that thought as a package from Amazon that was delivered to the wrong address. And I'm gonna return that thought to the sender because I love myself too much to subjugate myself to this. You didn't do anything wrong. What it was is that your guides gave you information that you shouldn't be there. And we overcomplicate everything and we convince ourselves that this is it. What if your higher self is working together through this entire situation, working together with you through this entire situation to enhance your psychic abilities? Maybe that was the purpose of this entire encounter, to enhance your psychic ability, to get you to start believing what you're receiving. And then once you believe it, you wipe your hands clean. You're like, cool, this wasn't my guy, but I became more psychic. And now I know that there's nothing wrong with me. And now I know that I'm not going to keep chasing dust the next go around. So, wow, 44 minutes. I'm sure that when we do in-person events, I'll probably talk for 5 hours. I'm serious. I didn't even do Q&As. I'll do Q&As soon, but it's just that I can talk forever. So you guys, thank you for your donations. It really means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. And I will speak with you in another version of the Now. If you haven't subscribed, by the way, we have 742 people in here. Woohoo! If you haven't subscribed, please do, because it does help with the algorithm. If you don't want to, I honor you though. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Um, Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for participating. Thank you for commenting. And again, be a squeaky wheel. Get really squeaky in the cosmos. How do you do that? How? You commit to the frequency. You don't misfire. You commit to it. You send a clear signal into the cosmos of what it is that you know that you're deserving of, that you're commanding into your life, and you don't waver. I repeat, you do not waver. If what you're thinking about doing isn't in complete symmetry with what you've been committing to, drop it. Drop it altogether. Get squeakier. And your wheel will get the grease. So I leave you on that note, and I'm sending you infinite blessings, infinite love, infinite light, and I'll see you soon.